Okay, I'm just gonna generically throw in this next panel as this next idea for the evening, the last one for the evening, as sort of little quirky things that we've encountered over the years. And I think I've gone over some of that before elsewhere, so I'm not going to repeat myself. But Mark's cards pointed out, well, if you had, we were kind of semi-joking, about, well, Picard's show is going to have, I was semi-joking. Picard's show is going to have reference to Starship Chimera in it. They can directly reference it and look at the camera. Because we actually know people. And John said, that would be a lie. Not really. It would be an exaggeration. What it would mean is that we knew people once, but not now. That would be accurate. There were some Star Trek people that we knew about. They did not forward us information about that. So, no, not currently. Yeah, so it would be an exaggeration. It would be like, oh, he really doesn't know anybody now. No. But it is uncanny that Lower Decks is Silly Trek, pretty much. It's a somebody animated Silly Trek. Sure. It's set about 8 years before the events of Starship Chimera. And so if we are going to do another Chimera movie. So if we do another one, it'll be set in the current time period. It'll be 2401 or 2402, and it'll be 16 years later. So being 16 years later, a lot of that will have changed. We can update the ships a little bit, models, and make them look cool. It'll be awesome. So, but we can also include some of the Lower Decks characters, who are basically 2 or 3 of them are the Tendi and Rutherford are basically from Michael Gamelt's story, so they would be there. Even though I don't think he's writing for Lower Decks, I think they just took them from Silly Trek. They just pulled them from Silly Trek. Here's Tendi the Green Girl. It's Talisman. It's Talisman the Green Girl. They pulled Rutherford. Rutherford would have been a Visor, or maybe a Mr. Visor or whatever. They pulled him out, and he's in there too. Yeah, Mr. Visor. So yeah, they're right there. So they're there. And he's also the other guy. He's also the engineer guy. So we have, Silly Trek has an Alton Indigo Sooner instead of Soon. Now, so Silly Trek kind of has, you can do just about anything in science fiction. Yeah, so you have Lower Decks. Discovery Season 3 also had its share of interesting trivia things tying into us. Second episode out, they go to this frosty ice planet. And there's a bad guy on the planet. There's Ruck and Kal. There's 2 bad guys. And they're basically Kal. 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 Yes, I was in the second episode. No, it wasn't me. But my name was. My pseudonym was right there. And there was Kal. There was Kal. Now, some of my ideas that I had in the Silly Trek universe was that if they were going to have a universe-ending disaster with kids taking over the galaxy type of thing, it would lead to a disaster in space. And I suspected, I had in that theory, that was what they were going to do at the end of the story with the burn. And that's exactly what they did. Not only did they do that, they had this kid that's been there for 100 years. So he's 100 years old, but he has the mind of a child. And he's been there on the planet. Well, he's sort of a tier level Q, minor Q, in the Cillian version. He would be a Q. There isn't a Cillian version, but he would be if there was. And we're not going to rewrite the form parody of Season 3 of Get Discovery. No, we're not going to do that. And also, the Guardian of Forever guy looks like Brian Story and acted like him. It wasn't him. It was Kirk God, Brian Story. There he was. Boom. So they read. They definitely watched our stuff. They were like, we're going to do that. We're going to reference that directly. And also, Will Wheaton, on one of the Ready Room episodes, did reference the Traveler thing. So he saw Chimera as well. Or at least that part of it. And he's like, yeah, that's probably what happened. He just sort of offhandedly joked about it. Yeah, Traveler was kind of sweet on me. It's not exactly what he said, but he did imply it, that Traveler was weird and he wanted him. Because, Mozart of time and space, indeed. Yeah, so other goofy things. During Voyager, there was a character called Flotter, named after the Flotter Indicus system, or Flodi is the planet in Silly Track. They also referenced Flodi a few times. Discovery. The apple tossing scene, Mark Charles. Yeah, we were discussing that, trying to figure out how we're at Pine Hill, how they were on the same wavelength that they were doing similar stuff, if not almost the same stuff, the next day, even events and things. And looking back on the journals, I think there was somebody with an in. I really do. I'm not sure which teacher it was, but it was one of them, and he was looking at our stuff over because we'd mentioned it over and over again. And he's like, okay, there's some cool ideas here. At the end of each session of Silly Trek or whatever. Now, these kids, they think of these weird stories about these. They thought their friend was a robotic zombie, so, he's going to take over, running around like clunky and stuff. I thought that was cool, because it's like the Terminator, so, yeah, let's think of robotic zombies and put them in Next Generation. They can't say that it actually happened, but it's awfully eerie that it did. Because, yeah, the Jamie character that John is afraid that we're going to make fun of. But we have to change the last name around, so it's the Cillian version. Messy. No, Messy. M-E-S-S-Y. And he's present in Silly Track, so that he would and he wouldn't object, actually. He hasn't. There's a Silly Track version of him. So the irony is that he's not going to object. He's going to be like, no, I don't care what that guy's going to do. It's not me. It's Jamie Messy. So he spelled it differently. It's all right. I don't know. He hasn't said that, but he hasn't complained. So, I don't think he cares. I don't think he's like, well, I don't, he didn't care. John is probably concerned that his work would be violated by craziness out there. But I don't think so. Because they wouldn't know it's him. They would just say, oh, I'm the one that wrote it. It had nothing to do with it. I just asked him for advice. It's not him. Yeah. Good luck trying to kick me off the air. It's not going to happen. I don't know. So, yeah. So not all of that stuff is actually us. So Q&A type of thing. It's not, it's just a really weird coincidence. Also, the kid on the planet that was 100 years old. 100-year-old kid, so he's an old man, basically. Alien. The alien in that episode of Star Trek. His name is Sukal. Kal, K-A-L, Sue, Cal. The only way that those two words could go together, Jung Suan. The only way they could go together. Otherwise, Sue, Cal, Sue-Cal. He's Kitty Key. He's fucking Kitty Key from Silly Track. He's Sue Cal. He's Mirror Universe Kitty Key, but he's an alien. He's got to put on an alien mask. He's afraid of an alien. Yeah. He's one of Kitty Key's offspring, Sue Cal. He's on the planet. So yeah, pristine ship. They find out generation ship thing that's still doing it. They go to the ship and it's still Pine Hill there, or a planet that's maybe they're imitative. Maybe on the planet they're like the Iosians from their classic Trek. I know we've already done that a few times. What about a whole story about that? Well, they go to a place where this whole realm is doing it for whatever reason. But yeah, there's all kinds of other ideas in there. And yeah, if you change the names, it's fine. So, yeah, that was my take on strange events, things. And Lower Decks being a lot like our stuff. It isn't our stuff. Remember that it's not our stuff. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying there was no one named McMahon. But it is awfully eerie that it's not just the Borg and the apple tossing scene that appeared in 3 different Star Trek iterations. It's not just the Borg that appeared in 3 different iterations too. It's not just that. We did do some scripts during the writers thing, and I also thought of story presence and ideas. But there were an awful lot of conventions in the 90s as well, where we would loudly talk about our Silly Trek ideas. I'm sure somebody in the know heard some of that and was like, yes, that would be interesting. Oh, thank you for the information. And then the next week it would end up on the show, because they went back to Paramount like Ferengi would do and said, oh, I have some profitable ideas for you. Oh, yes. Oh, like Ferengi would do. Or it's one of the rules of acquisition, 100 and something or so. It's the one that says, keep your ears open. Yes. And your eyes focused. Something like that. Yeah. If you're a Ferengi. And they did. So, yeah. Also, with the stories were on the set of Deep Space Nine, and they were on the set of Next Generation during Relics. So they were both of those episodes around the same time, because there was Stage 9 and Stage 8, and back in the day, and they got to see the warp core. It apparently was powered by junk, the donut, and some coffee cups were inside the warp core. So Scotty was going to fix the dilithium crystals. They were being powered by Mr. Fusion. Trash inside it. And there was trash on the bridge. It was funny. Because it was in hiatus or something. And on the Deep Space Nine, there were all these weird jokes and gags everywhere. And they repeated them at the Trek experience. You could walk up to the consoles and there would be like weird data on the walls. The wall thing would say like, oh, this is part of the ship, but it's like Mickey Mouse. It's like, what? This little Mickey Mouse. Like, beep, beep. It would be like the Donald Duck on a raft. What the? But you couldn't see it unless you had high def, and then you'd be like, oh, there it is. But I got to see that at the Trek experience, and they recreated it there. They put it in there. They had Man from U.N.C.L.E. gags in there. They had James Bond gags. They had all kinds of stuff. They had the Bajoran orb at the experience. The very Bajoran orb that apparently the stories in Ira Bear, you remember Ira Stephen Bear, that guy, one of the producers, they took their turns writing their names all over the thing, all over the orb, and it was sitting there. And they did rescue that before they closed it down. It was rescued by one of the Star Trek people. I think Ron Moore got a hold of it, or somebody got a hold of it. So they got it out of there before they closed it, because it was gone the last time I was there. So somebody put it away. But that was in 2008 or so. 2000? No, it wasn't 2008. I haven't been back there since then. It was like 2005 or 6 or 2006. 2006. So it was gone then. I asked about it. But when it was there earlier, it had his names on it. It said, remember, Bear. It said Brian's S and Kathy S. Joe Carisman. Rare Bear. What? Okay, they wrote their names all over the inside of it. It's cool. So I did. No, Jasmine was in there. The other dude that did Gene did the. Gene did the models. Yeah. Move some of them. David Gerald for some reason recognized me when I was script. I don't know how. I hadn't met him. David. But yeah, maybe something convention years ago. He had a good memory. But yeah, it's out of the Silly Trek thing script. Yeah, we probably can't use that script though. Just so you know, he did write it professionally. It's a Star Trek script spoof. Probably can't use it without paying him, and we can't pay him, so we can't use it. Sorry about that. So we'll have to find out some other way to go out there. But yeah, you can't. But elements of the idea, I guess, of the Travel Planet would be fun. But yeah, just the title only. But yeah, come up with something else. I'd probably save it. Yeah. But yes, they have taken a Kamara idea to heart. They have watched the recent. They replaced some of the production team on Picard, and they are doing a Q season next season. So they are going to put Q in there. He is returning. John Delancey said so. So there's some news from his boat. it was an interview with him and Will Wheaton, and he's all, "Yes, I am coming back. Ah. Q is returning, and also he's going to look slightly older just to fit in." And, yeah, it's been 30 years, but Q is coming back, not here, but to Star Trek Picard. And I wouldn't be surprised if they referenced Chimera. It'd be hilarious. And the Trek Yards people will freak out. That'd be great. Because then they could have like a reference in there. And be all like, oh, these guys actually knew somebody. And then we have to be all coy. So of course we couldn't say yes, because that's a long time ago. And then those other guys are just thinking, it's the snake eating his head. They're thinking like, it's a paradox. They're thinking like they're still in. They're just reading the fan stuff. But we're one of the few fan sites of Star Trek that isn't trying to sue them for anything, because why would we do that? We like them taking our stuff. But yes, there's the uncanny use of lines from the Fearful Symmetry script from years ago being used in the ship on Deep Space Nine, including a full 5-minute scene of the female Vorta explaining why there aren't very many female Vortas, and it's the verbatim script dialogue from the script, so they read it. They read our script, our fan script. They just didn't want to use it. They wanted to use that scene. They thought that was great, but they didn't want to use the fan script. Also, there was a scene that was similar to the Tuvok one, the Voyager that we wrote, at the Arbiter, which was used in a little bit in Tenor Taylor Dr. Spy, and a little bit in Fury, and a little bit later on in another one. But only, you couldn't really say. You could just say, oh, that's Great Minds Think Alike, and it's similar, but it's not the same. So, no. But it totally was. But yeah, we were okay with that. We're like, that's great. Some other fan had thought of the transporter to survive, and they put Scotty in the transporter. So yeah. But he was annoyed about that. We met him at the convention. But yeah, the Star Trek people were very friendly at the conventions usually, and they talked to the fans, and they probably just brought the ideas back. So there were meet and greets. The most interesting meet and greet was actually random with minor Voyager characters and Deep Space Nine characters hanging out together. Yimihara and Imayu, or the guy that played Ichab, and yeah, he doesn't like it now, but his character was killed off stupidly. But in the he also got in trouble for something else from blogging. I guess Mark's Cards is afraid we're going to blog something. But no, we're not going to. Don't worry about it. So yeah, he talked to him and Aaron Eisenberg, the late Aaron Eisenberg. They were younger. It was during Deep Space Nine. There was a convention, and a little after Deep Space Nine, I think it was during Voyager, and there was and they were at the convention, and they're just hanging out. Star Trek / Star Wars convention in 2002 or something. Yeah, it was after Deep Space Nine. We sat there talking and theorizing about how Nog's artificial limb would work. They completely recreated it and stuff. It was kind of funny. But yeah, stuff like that. He was fun. Aaron Eisenberg was fun to talk to. So yeah. Also in the 30th anniversary of Next Gen Convention 2017, where we were at the San Jose Convention Center, where I was, and the cast cast, of the whole TNG cast, and William Shatner on fire on the stage. And Nichelle Nichols, I happened to talk to Nichelle Nichols there over, and she was just beat. She was like tired. She's like, you know what? I don't want to. I just don't want to. I don't want to talk about Star Trek right now. I just want to go to bed. She was like, I'm old, you know. And then she just leaves. It was funny. But then the next time around, she was. But she was saying this to all the fans, not just me. Come on. but yes, she was tired of the book signing. And she's like, you know. Shatner was on fire though. He was man, that dude was like, he was 86 at the time. He's just hyper. He's just I'm talking about the hot dogs I ate at the commissary, and they gave me an issue, bowel issue. Oh. He actually said something like that. But I didn't mind the street hot dogs outside. They were okay. But the commissary, no, don't eat those. No, you'll get the bones. You'll have to go warp speed, Mr. Sulu, to Dr. McCoy's office. Quickly. Yes, flash fiction.